Hey everyone, Coach Investor back to another video for today. So in today's video, we're going to cover PayPal's earnings report. Now, they did beat on earnings per share, they did beat on revenue as well, and raised fiscal 23 guidance. So big positive there, working hard on getting those expenses down while continue to grow at reasonable levels. Now, the big story with PayPal, and I've said this from the start, although in recent quarters, the business was a bit weak, the results were a bit weak, but overall, it is a solid compounder. If you look at the free cash flow for the last couple of years, which we're going to have a look in just a second, you can see why they can still create value for you as a shareholder, despite that weakness in growth that it has going out of the pandemic. So yes, maybe sometimes you might not see the growth that you expect, but what you can expect is them to use that cash to buy back shares, which in turn return some value to you, the shareholder. And so this is what you could expect. They give us comparison 2015, 2019, before the pandemic, then 2022. As you can see, active accounts have grown 14% on a 5-year CAGR, total payment volume 24% on a 5-year CAGR, net revenue 16, non-GAAP earnings per share 17, and then this is, in my opinion, extremely important, especially if you are a PayPal shareholder or if you're thinking about becoming one. Free cash flow, 22% on a 5-year CAGR. This is very important because they are using that, well, the majority, in this case, they said 75% of free cash flow will be used to return value to the shareholders. So long as this number can keep increasing, you as a shareholder are basically, let's say, guaranteed to get some value back. Now, of course, when we talk about PayPal, we have to talk about fintech, and there are a lot of competitors in that industry. But they show us here, PayPal continues to increase acceptance and ubiquity. Digital wallet acceptance among 1,500 largest retailers across North America and Europe. You can see here 76% in 2021, 79% in 2022. And the second place is just at 28%, which is Apple Pay, then at 16, Google Pay, 15, Amazon, etc., etc. So they have a huge lead. Although maybe they might not be growing as fast as these little guys right here, but you can see they still grew from 76% to 79% year over year. Now, before we go even deeper into the numbers, if you enjoy this type of videos, I would really appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you have not, really helps out the channel. And if you want to help out even further, do check out the links down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. So Q4 and fiscal year 2022 highlights. So first up, a little text here from Dan Schulman, the CEO. 2022 was a transformative year for PayPal. We invested in our platform to better serve our customers while focusing on streamlining our business. We will continue this work throughout 2023, and I am confident that we are well positioned to utilize our unique assets to remain a market leader in digital payments. As we've seen before, well, that's still the case. Quick breaking news, I'm cutting this video right now. So Dan Schulman, the CEO, will not be the CEO by the end of 2023. Was just in breaking news. Now let's get back to the video. Now, Q4 fiscal year 2022. So as for Q4, they grew net revenues 7% GAAP, 9% non-GAAP. Operating income 18% year-over-year growth, earnings per share 19% on a GAAP basis. And now for the fiscal year, net revenue grew 8%, operating income actually decreased 10% on a GAAP basis, and earnings per share decreased 41% as well. Not surprised, since we have been following the company for a while. We know that, well, the other quarters were extremely weak. Now, with regards to the operating highlights, so they produced $357.4 billion in total payment volume, up 5% on a spot basis or 9% on an FX neutral basis. Venmo itself processed $62.5 billion in TPV, growing 3% on top of 29% growth in Q4 2021. To be honest, I thought it would probably grow a little bit more, but okay. Now, they surpassed 6 billion payment transactions, that's up 13%, 51.4 payment transactions per active account on a trailing 12-month basis, growing 13%. Very nice to see. Again, we've talked about this. They're going after quality active accounts or quality users, those that maybe make a transaction every week, every month, maybe even every day. During the pandemic, they obviously attracted a lot of users that maybe use it once per month, twice per month, maybe, I don't know, just a handful of times per year, which obviously isn't that valuable for the company. Now, during this quarter, so Q4, 2.9 million net actives were added with total active accounts of 435 million. That's up just 2%. Now, for the fiscal year 2022, they reached $1.36 trillion in TPV. That's up 9% or 13% on an FX neutral basis, as we said before. Now, TPV excluding eBay, again, we're going to go completely away from the eBay impact. So that grew 11% or 14% on an FX neutral basis, representing 98% of TPV. Now, as for Venmo, that processed $245.3 billion in TPV, growing 7% on top of 44% growth in fiscal year 2021. Payment transactions reached 22.3 billion, that's up 16% year over year, and 8.6 million net new actives were added. So the total, as we've seen before, 435 million, it's up 2%. Now, if we continue and read here what they have to say with regards to the balance sheet and liquidity and then strategic initiatives and business updates, this is exactly what happens when you hold PayPal. So as I said before, using that free cash flow, using that cash to, let's say, reward investors. So strong balance sheet and cash flow generation returned $4.2 billion to stockholders in fiscal year 2022. So basically the majority of their free cash flow. So cash equivalents, and investment totaled $15.9 billion as of the end of 2022. That totaled $10.8 billion the same year. In fiscal year 2022, generated cash flow from operations of $5.8 billion and free cash flow of $5.1 billion. In the Q4 quarter, generated cash flow from operation of $1.6 billion and free cash flow of $1.4 billion. I don't believe this has grown actually year over year. In fiscal year 2022, it repurchased approximately 41 million shares of common stock, returning $4.2 billion as we've seen before. And in Q4, well, of those 41 million, they repurchased 12 million shares of common stock and returned $1 billion to stockholder. Now, as for the strategic initiatives, I'm just going to touch on two things here. So since launching Buy Now, Pay Later in fiscal year 2020, PayPal has issued over 200 million loans to nearly 30 million customers. Of course, there's always that risk of, well, repayment or not repaying it, late fees, etc. But let's see what happens with this side of the business. Pay with Venmo ramped to full availability for US Amazon customers, continuing our ongoing commitment to offer more ways to spend, send, receive, and manage money with Venmo. I expect to see more and more positivity with regards to this, maybe more users, more transactions, etc. Now, when it comes to financial guidance, so for Q1 2023, they expect net revenues to grow around 7.5% on a spot basis or 9% FX neutral basis. Now, with regards to GAAP earnings, they expect it to be between 62 to 64 cents compared to 43 cents in the prior year, and non-GAAP earnings to grow between 23 and 25% to between $1.08 and $1.10 compared to 88 cents the year ago. Now, as for the full year guidance, GAAP earnings per diluted share is expected to be around $3.27 compared to $2.09 for the fiscal year 2022, and non-GAAP earnings per diluted share is expected to grow around 18%, which I believe they said in the past that it would be at least 15. So 18 is obviously a raise, let's say. So that will grow to $4.87 compared to $4.13. Now, they do say here that in 2022, GAAP earnings per share included a negative impact of approximately 20 cents on PayPal's strategic investment portfolio. Now, I just want to add a couple of extra things here. First of all, when you look at cash and cash equivalents, this has actually increased year over year. Then when we scroll down and we look at stock-based compensation, we can actually see that it has decreased year over year. So cost cuts, reform, etc. is well underway. And this can clearly be seen as well in operating margin. You can see Q4 2022, 16.8%, Q4 2021, 15.2% on a GAAP, on a non-GAAP. You can see the difference here as well. Now, I do want to end by showing you this slide right here. So the diverse growth drivers across PayPal's global payment platform. So in 2021, it was $1.25 trillion. 2022, obviously, $1.36 trillion. Now, of course, I did say that Venmo, yes, that 7% growth isn't that much, but if you look at the 3-year CAGR, it's 55%. Now, 2021, it was around 18% of 1.25 trillion. Today, it's again 18% about of 1.36 trillion. So the same percentage approximately, but a bigger pie. So to conclude, although this was probably a better quarter than what we've had before, I don't think anyone here expects PayPal to suddenly grow 50% year over year or something like that. No, I think everybody that buys into PayPal or holds PayPal right now knows that it holds a solid business that has gone through some difficulties, but still a solid business, a solid compounder over a long period of time that generates a lot of cash and obviously returns a lot of value to its shareholders. I think that the most important things that shareholders should know with regards to PayPal. Of course, do share your thoughts down below with regards to PayPal this quarter, maybe their guidance as well. If you're a buyer, if you're a holder, let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoy this type of videos, do leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.